Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. We had the second Eubank Jr. Benn press conference today at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and I want to give a shout out to Lee from Inside the Distance. Great guy, great channel. Go and give him a sub. But he made a comment. We were sort of exchanging WhatsApp messages, and he made a comment that he doesn't think Eubank's going to even attempt to make the weight. Now, Eubank had that very big sheepskin jacket on, which makes him look even bigger. But we know that he's in his mid-30s, that previously he has fought at super middleweight for a couple of years. He fought George Groves for the title, lost on points. It can't be easy for him to lose all that weight, no matter how disciplined you are. And he has admitted that with the rehydration clause, he has sacrificed what he considers to be a minor percentage of his advantage by agreeing to the clause. They had to pay him extra money to do it, but so he's regarding it as a calculated gamble. Well, calculated gambles can go wrong sometimes. And I just wonder if that's if Lee is right when he says about that Eubank might not attempt to make the weight. Now, we've seen this happen before. Ryan Garcia against Devin Haney is probably the most recent famous example anyway. And if he doesn't, I'm not aware that there's any kind of penalty for not making weight, so I don't know what it would be, £100,000 per pound, for example, or something like that. I don't know. But Eubank seems to be really angry and bitter about the whole saga regarding Benn and the PED test, regarding the fact that the two failed PED tests, the fact that Benn, as he sees it, got away with it and is a cheat and is a scumbag, and Eddie Hearn is his, puppet master, his enabler. And Eubank is now, his view is this is the Eubank show. That's what he said at the press conference. And I'm throwing him a bone. I'm the one who's been wronged here. I'm the one that deserves all the plaudits. I'm presented as being the bad guy, which is fine. I can take that. But at the same time, he's the bad guy really, because he's the drug cheat, and you don't get to cheat against me and get away with it. Now, if that's his attitude, he is probably relying on the fact that nothing that he does is going to get this fight cancelled. So hitting him with an egg, splashing an egg over him. Okay, I get the argument that Hearn made, which is that the shell could have gone in Benn's eye and all this sort of thing, but it's an egg, for Christ's sake. I mean, yeah, okay, it's possible he could have been injured, but it's not. You get splashed with a bit of yolk. It ain't no big deal. It's more symbolic than anything. But that's probably just a very minor thing compared to what Eubank may have in his mind. He might take the attitude of, if I come in 3 pounds overweight, what are they going to do? Are they going to cancel the fight? Of course they're not. No. I'm doing you a favour. I'm giving you a huge payday. 2 of them, in fact, because there's a rematch clause. So you ain't going to cancel this fight. And in fact, in the lead up to the aborted fight 2 years ago, you cheated. So I'm going to give you a taste of your own medicine. I think it's a very real proposition that Eubank might not be too fussed about making the weight. I think that's a good point that was made, and it wouldn't surprise me at all, because Eubank in the post press conference interviews, he was saying, beforehand it was just we were 2 names, our fathers fought, so we were sort of trying to carry on the legacy. But now I think the phrase he used was, it's darker. It's taken a more personal, darker hue to the whole event. And I can sort of, I do get the feeling that even as calm and as sort of, well-mannered and precisely spoken Eubank is, there's a real rage under there. I get the feeling that, because Conor Benn is, effing and blinding all over the place, and is extremely, he runs on nervous energy. He's a very emotional guy like his father was. I think people are perhaps overlooking CHRIS EUBANK Jr.'s intensity as well. Sometimes more often than not, in my personal experience, the ones you've got to be careful of are the quiet ones. because the old saying is that still waters run deep, and also empty vessels make the most noise. And I'm not saying Conor Benn's an empty vessel. I mean, he's clearly got he's a highly trained athlete, a highly trained boxer. He lives the life, or he appears to live the life, and regardless of failed tests, he's a handful. I'm not saying he's a completely he's a fraud or anything like that, or a charlatan. But Eubank has that cold-bloodedness about him, that intensity that I think is getting overlooked, even though in both press conferences he's kind of dominated them. And he seems to have. I think that one of the giveaways is that he's got as much in for Eddie Hearn as he has for Conor Benn, because he sees Eddie Hearn as someone who put him in danger. And I also, by enabling Benn, by trying to cover up for Benn. And also, I'll always think that the first Liam Smith fight for Eubank, the fact that he got so badly beaten, a lot of that, obviously Smith's fists had something to do with it, but a lot of that was the fact that Eubank was attempting to boil himself down to 157, which is dangerously low in weight. And it had actually got down to 159, because there was a picture of him looking like a skeleton standing on the scales, 159. He had 2 more pounds to go, and then the fight got postponed or cancelled, So I think that the first Liam Smith fight was that defeat. You could probably say that the effects of boiling himself down to fight Benn, and then 3 months later, was it, taking on Liam Smith, his body hadn't really recovered and his punch resistance wasn't there. And I know there was an accusation of an elbow going in and everything, but when have we ever seen Eubank that badly hurt? I mean, really was on Queer Street wobbling around, and he got up and everything, but he was in a bad way. And then once his body had got a chance to mend in the rematch, and of course Smith got out of shape. I think he was injured and he was overweight considerably, and so the boot was on the other foot. But I think Eubank blames Hearn and also probably Benn for, at least partially, for that first defeat to Smith, because of the effects, the after effects of being told or agree. I mean, he agreed to it, didn't he, to boil himself down to 157, and then afterwards, having not gotten paid for that fight, he takes the Smith fight, not really with having had enough time to recover from the initial training camp, and got beaten. So I think there's a lot going on in CHRIS EUBANK Jr.'s head, a lot, and a lot of rage in there as well. And to get back to the original point of this video, it would not surprise me at all if he did not make a particularly conscious effort to make the weight, that he does come in a couple of pounds overweight and says, go on then, you want to cancel the fight? Cancel it. Let's see about that. And they won't cancel the fight. There's no way on earth Eddie Hearn will pull Benn out. Well, Benn will allow himself to be pulled out. Eubank is playing this build-up very, very well, I think. Very well. And I just hope the fight is, because, I mean, as I've said before, I find the fight to be pretty much a gimmick catchweight contest. But hopefully it will be at least half as intriguing as this build-up. Anyway, what do you think? Let me know if you think I'm whistling Dixie or if I'm talking sense or somewhere in the middle. Comments below, and of course subscribe to the channel if you do, and hit the like button as well. I appreciate your time as always. Looking forward to reading your comments. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Let's get those figures up. Come on, we can do it. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.